Hi everyone, I am Capendef, and in this video tutorial I'm going to show you how to use Raylib. So let's get started. First of all, you need to download Raylib, and this is going to be kinda simple, kinda hard depending on the language you use. Some languages have a package manager, others don't. In this video I'm going to use a language with a package manager that looks like C, but it is not C, and that language is the deprogramming language. So let's continue now to the terminal. First of all, we need to make a new project. To do that, we just write dap init-n. This will create these files. The dap.json file is the project file of the project and will include things like dependencies. And then we also have the app.tip file, and this file is the main entry point of your program. To compile and run a program, we just write dap. That's it. Now let's add Raylib. To do that, we just write dap add raylibd. This is a package that exists and we can download it. And one last thing is that we're also going to download the Raylib library files, the precompiled ones. And to do that, we just write dap run raylibd install. Raylibd install is a script provided by the raylibd package, and this will install the precompiled files. We say yes here, and pretty much we are ready now to start writing some Raylib. So let's open the app.tip file, and let's write some code that will open a window and draw some stuff inside that window. To do that, we need to first import Raylib, so we have access to the Raylib functions. And after that, inside the main function, we are going to call some functions. One of them is the init window function. This will create a window with the given width, height, and title. After that, we need to create the main loop of the window, and you do that like that in Raylib. The window should close. And now inside that while loop, that is the main loop of the window, we want to call 3 functions every frame. And those are the begin window function, the end window function, and the clear background function. And the clear background function does accept a color that will be used to clear the background. To create a color, we just write color, and then the values that this color will have are going to be let's say 50, 50, 50. Okay. And now at the end of the main function, we need to call one last function, and this is the close window function. And that's it. This is the most basic program you can write in Raylib. We can compile that code like that, and I did something wrong. Undefined identifier. I wrote something wrong. Begin window. Looks like begin window. Am I not looking correctly? Ah, it's begin drawing. Oh my god. And drawing. Oh my god. Okay, that was funny. Anyway, that is the basic Hello World program kind of Raylib. Okay, it's not begin window, but begin drawing. I was kind of thinking of Microui for some reason, and Microui has a function that is called begin window. So yeah, sorry for that, but anyway. Now, Raylib has also some extra functions for drawing. Some of them are, we can draw text like that. Text. We can pass the position of the text like that, and also the size of the text like that, and the color. And the color in this case will be, for example, I guess 100, 100, 100. Okay. Now we have some text on the top left corner of the window. Let's change the color because it's not really a good color. Let's make it 200. Here's the text. We can make it bigger by just changing the size here to 40, for example. We can move that text around with the get mouse X function, I think, and the get mouse Y function, right? Or am I not remembering correctly? Yes. We can move the text with the mouse now. There are other functions too in Raylib. We can draw also a rectangle, and this accepts the X position, the Y position of the rectangle, the size of the rectangle, and the color. And the color here can be like 200, 100, 100, for example. Doesn't really matter. One interesting thing is that the text, if we move it to the rectangle, will be behind the rectangle. And that has to do with the fact that things are drawn based on the way they are called. So first we draw the text, then the rectangle. If we want the text to be above the rectangle, it needs to be the second thing we draw. So now if you compile again the program, you see now that the text is above the rectangle, like that. One last thing, I guess, is that every draw function has some extra functions that let you do more stuff with them. For example, the draw rectangle function has the draw rectangle EX function, and this function accepts, for example, what does it accept? The draw rectangle pro function, right? And this function accepts some other stuff. For example, it wants a rectangle struct, a vector2 struct, a float, a color, and some other stuff. It doesn't really matter. For more info about Raylib, you can check the Raylib website. It has a cheat sheet that you can look at and see what exists. And that is pretty much it for Raylib. Now, one extra thing I guess I can show is also using a GUI library with Raylib, just because why not? This tutorial has to be a little bit longer, I guess. So let's do that. So, there are two GUI libraries that are kind of easy to use from Raylib. One of them is the Raylib GUI library, and the other one is Microui. In this video, I'm going to use Microui just because I know how to use it, and I also rewrote it myself recently in D, so it's kind of easy to use for me at least. Anyway, to add that package to our project, we just write dub add microuid. Then we need a font, and I have already one here called font.ttf. And after that, we need to import the module. Specifically, we are going to import a submodule from that package called Mural. And Mural is a helper module for Raylib. Then we are going to create the font that is going to be used by the UI. And then we need to initialize the UI. And that's it. Now we can start creating the UI. And we do that by calling first the begin UI function and then the end UI function. Inside here, we can, for example, create a window like that. If begin window, a window needs a title, and it also needs a size and a position, and this is done via a rectangle like that, and this rectangle is going to be at position 0, 0, and it's going to have a size of 200 and 300. Okay, and then inside the if statement we can add the things that will be inside that window. For example, we can add a button. We can add some other stuff, but right now I don't really want to spend too much time on that, so we're just going to have one button. And at the end of the if statement, we also need to end the window. Okay, it is Microui kind of works like Raylib a little bit, the API. Now, I think we can just compile and run, and we're going to have a nice little window here. The bad thing is that the background of the window has the same color of the window, so let's change that. Let's go here to 50, 50, 50, and let's make it 100, 100, 100. And now you can see that we have a nice little window here, a button that we can press. We can move that window around, and it's cool. This is kind of nice to use for when you make like some tools for your game, for example. That's it. There's not much else to show in this video right now, actually. Anyway, that's it, and I hope this video was not really that random.